Thor went searching for Mjolnir after it was stolen, and he wasn't able to summon it back to him. He arrived in Broxton, United States, but something was wrong. The entire town was destroyed, and its people killed by an unknown entity. Thor desperately tried to call out to his hammer one more time, but much to his surprise, this time it came to him. Mjolnir came rushing at lightning speed, surrounded by a blue energy field, but it didn't slow down. Instead, it hit Thor at full speed. The initial hit was devastating, leaving Thor crippled, but the attacks continued. The hammer continued its assault, hitting Thor from every direction, and he demanded the coward to show himself. At last, the strange blue energy decided to reveal itself, claiming she was the goddess of hammers. She lifted the hammer high into the air, saying she is Mjolnir itself. She then threw the hammer, hitting Thor with full force and sending him flying hundreds of feet. He landed in a pool of water with Mjolnir on top of him, but he wasn't able to lift it anymore, and the hammer was slowly drowning him. Thor summoned a powerful lightning bolt that burned the lake dry, saving his own life. He demanded the goddess of hammers to face him head-on, and she accepted, lifting the hammer from his body. He then summoned a sword made of lightning and tried to fight back, but the goddess of hammers was made of lightning and was able to dodge all of the attacks. This angered Thor, and he wanted to punch her, but the energy defended itself using the hammer, causing him to break his arm on impact. The injury left him in shock, claiming this can't be possible. The goddess of hammers said she had been at his side for eons, fighting battles together with him. She knows all of his triumphs and all of his secrets, and she knows how to break him. The energy lifted the hammer and prepared to deliver the final blow, but Odin came out of nowhere and protected his son. Odin asked Lady Sif to summon the Bifrost and teleport the goddess of hammers away from that place, to the farthest place possible. This place is beyond the farthest point of known existence, a place so remote and far that there is no way of calculating its distance. Odin picked up his son and tried to help him, but somehow the hammer found a way to return from that place. It flew toward them at lightning speed once again, but this time it hit Odin in the back with full force. The hit was so powerful that it left him broken and paralyzed from the waist down. He couldn't feel his legs anymore. The goddess of hammers finally decided to tell them the truth. Some time ago, when Jane Foster was Thor for a brief moment, she had sent Mjolnir into the sun and left it to burn there, but it wasn't alone. There was another presence there that eventually corrupted the hammer, awakening together as one with the rage of a billion beings, with the rage of Mangog. The cosmic being finally showed its true face and attacked Thor and his father once again, but this time, they were not alone. Out of nowhere, the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, Beta Ray Bill, and other friends of Thor came to his rescue, but Thor begged them to run away, saying it was no use. They were no match for the mighty Mangog. And he was right. Their attacks did nothing to injure her, and she tore through them like they were nothing. Thor tried to save his friends and confronted the mighty being, asking why she was doing this. A long time ago, she used to be alive and free, the beautiful Mother Storm, but Odin trapped her inside the hammer when forging Mjolnir. He used her, enchanted her, and treated her like a toy. But Mangog opened her eyes, and now she wanted revenge. Thor powered up one final time and summoned hundreds of giant rocks, trapping the being under their immense weight. Odin was badly injured on the ground and called out to his son, saying how proud he was of him, and of the man he had become. But if they wanted to defeat Mangog, there was only one way. He then gave away his life and his powers to Thor, making Thor the All-Father infused with the Odin force. The entire area began to shake, and a giant dust cloud surrounded Thor. But when everything settled, Thor emerged fully healed, empowered by his father's force. He then attacked Mangog with all of his strength, but the being was just too powerful, and the sword shattered on impact. Luckily, he thought of something and asked Lady Sif to lend him her sword. With Sif's sword in his hands, he was able to summon the Bifrost and command it to do his bidding. He trapped Mangog and Mother Storm using the Bifrost and then took Mjolnir from her, saying it belonged to him. He then teleported all of them far away from Earth to Nidavellir, the same forge where the dwarves created the hammer eons ago. Thor placed the hammer on the ground and then used his powers to light the forge, surrounding them in scorching fire. The heat of a billion suns began to unravel, boiling the enchantments Odin put on the hammer, burning the magic that gave Mother Storm her powers. She wanted to strike Thor, but he grabbed the hammer with his hand, saying she couldn't hurt him anymore. He then struck the hammer as hard as he could on the ground, breaking Mjolnir into hundreds of tiny pieces. This destroyed both Mother Storm and Mangog, who were fused together inside the hammer. This put a lot of strain on Thor, and drained him of his energy. He then fell on the ground unconscious. He awoke 4 months later in his bed, surrounded by his family. His sister Angela told Thor to finish getting dressed and meet her in the armory because she wanted to show him something. Thor was curious and rushed to see what it was, and he couldn't believe what he saw was real. Angela had picked up every piece of the hammer from Nidavellir and put Mjolnir back together. Thor was happy and wanted to touch the hammer, but he couldn't. Instead, he started crying and praying to his father. Even though he was now alone, he heard something, a faint voice talking to him, telling him to keep his eyes open because a king can't rule from his knees. It was Odin, his father. His spirit had bonded with the hammer, becoming Mjolnir itself.